Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas, back with another season, back with another opposition view. Our first match of the season at home to Chelsea, who we all know can be a very dangerous side, but we don't have too bad of a record, do we, against them at home over the past couple of seasons. I'm joined today by Lewis from Chelsea Fan TV. Lewis, thank you very much for coming on, mate. How are you doing?
I'm good. 24 hours away from the Premier League starting, well, at least for both of us. Excited, although I know this fixture is always difficult for us. Like you said, our record at Goodison Park isn't the best. I think it's one in the last 5 years or something like that. But we're never meant to start easy in the Premier League anyway, so I'd just rather get this fixture over and done with, to be honest. But yeah, safe for having me on, bro.
Yeah, no, it's good to speak to you. We'll start last season then. For yourselves, maybe it started, the season started with a lot of promise. Thomas Tuchel, you were getting a whole season under him, fantastic manager, and it looked very exciting. So what did you kind of make of your ending performance last season?
Oh, we were terrible towards the end of the season, unbelievably poor. I think as soon as we got knocked out of the Champions League, a lot of players just kind of mentally switched off. There was nothing really much to challenge for except for maybe the domestic trophies. And you could see it in our results. Our performances started dipping in game. Our results were already on the rocks, but they really fell off as soon as we dropped out of the Champions League. And you guys saw it when we played you at Goodison Park. We didn't offer anything except maybe a little bit of control in midfield. Going forward, we had nothing. Yerry Mina was just in our attackers' heads all game. Defensively, we were fine, but we were always an error away. And that was the problem with Chelsea around that period. What got us through last season and the season before that was how strong our defensive system was. Because we had 2 or 3 players who already had their heads in Spain because they already had transfers there. Our attack was just a lot more easier to be got at. There was mistakes there, like you saw for your goal, when you beat us last season, Azpilicueta passed straight out to Richarlison. Those sorts of errors would just happen in game in and game out. And yeah, it was poor towards the end of the season, but we did enough to get third. I mean, as I say, that Arsenal collapsed towards the end. Tottenham pulled in towards the end as well. But the top 4 race is never consistent. So I guess we just did enough to see it through.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It was weird to see, towards the end of the season, and that Brentford game especially, you could see that the players were kind of just mentally checked out. As you said, a couple of them were already off to Barcelona, Real Madrid, etc. So yeah, it was probably disappointing to see. But since then, how have you improved? Do you think you've improved all the aspects of the squad that you needed to?
More replaced, but I actually think we might be upgrading on our last defence, because if we can get Fofana in, which Chelsea do look seriously invested in, even though it is an 85 million bid. If we get Fofana in with Koulibaly, Cucurella on the left-hand side, that just got announced earlier today as well, actually upgraded on our back 5, but we haven't really made much improvements. Sterling's come into the front line, but we still need another forward, potentially another midfielder as well. Cucurella at least brings us wing-back depth and defensive depth as well. But I don't think we've made much leaps forward. We've had to replace because of the amount of players that we've lost. So it's kind of a sideways step, but we've moved a little bit forwards in terms of we upgraded our defense, and Sterling's still a better forward than whatever we have, but there's still plenty of work that still needs to be done.
Yeah, no, the Sterling signing is definitely one I'm looking forward to see how he gets on, because he always had a very good track record at City, didn't he? But for some reason, he's never fully fancied by Pep, and he's ended up going to yourself. So I'd definitely be interested to see how he gets along. And what do you think you're necessarily missing then? If you could pick a couple more positions, then I know you mentioned you might be looking to sign for Fofana for 80 million, which seems like a lot of money, but a player with plenty of potential. Is centre half the only position you want?
Well, Tuchel just wanted to sort out the back first and foremost, but then we're going to try and get in another forward. De Jong is very unlikely. I think if he pushes to leave Barcelona, Chelsea's probably the most likely destination for him, but he has to make that push first. And until then, we're just basically playing a waiting game. But I think we need another striker, or potentially another creator as well, either one of those profiles. A midfielder too, but Tuchel's, I think, is looking at that position last. Potentially another wing-back, because we could do with right wing-back depth for the season too. That would be about it for now. Maybe a second goalkeeper, because Kepa might be going on loan to Napoli, but I think that's the last thing we're going to prioritise. You can just fill that in with anybody, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, looking at ourselves anyway, there have been several links now over the past season, between the two clubs. Unfortunately, it was Rafa Benitez to start with. That's not a link that any two clubs want to make between themselves.
We're good.
Then moving on to Frank Lampard. Then, so what did you make of? Well, we'll just focus on Lampard's kind of finishing end to the season. We all saw the scenes at Goodison Park at the end. It was a very dramatic. Well, for ourselves anyway. But what did you make of our performance? So what do you maybe expect going into this season?
Not too sure, because I feel like everyone's already kind of wrote the chapter on Lampard and they're expecting him to be the first manager sacked and everything like that. And I don't think it's as easy to predict. Like, Lampard had a massive job going into the Everton job because the morale was lower than it's ever been. The belief within the squad, within the fan base, was at rock bottom. There's been problems with Everton all the way from the board down to the playing staff, and I think that's a lot for Lampard to try and fix in a short space of time. And he did what was needed, which is just keep Everton up. Now he's got a full season to bed in his philosophy, to bring in the players that he wants to bring in. I feel like everyone wants to say he's just a poor manager because he got given the Chelsea job, but he really isn't. He is a manager just learning on the job. And he does need a bit of experience, which he is going to get at Everton too. But I still think there's a capability for him to, at the bare minimum, leave you guys at a higher place than you did towards the end of last season. And I think Everton fans as well will give him the time as well, because he's endeared himself to the sport really well. And he always was going to do that. He understands football fan culture probably better than any other manager in the Premier League does. But in terms of getting the best out of Everton on the pitch, definitely think there's going to be ups and downs throughout the season, but I do think he's going to get more out of Everton this season than people predict.
Yeah, I do agree. And something that has been quite clear in the transfer links that we've made over the summer is he's interested in a couple of former Chelsea players. So I'd love to hear your opinions on these. And I can't necessarily see any of them going through now, but it seems like we are stepping up their interest. So we know about Armando Broja. I'm not fully sure how to pronounce his name. Conor Gallagher, Michy Batshuayi and Billy Gilmore. So they're four players who clearly maybe aren't particularly fancied for the first team at Chelsea. We know Gallagher had a fantastic season last year at Crystal Palace. He might not necessarily be breaking in the first team. So if you give us kind of the lowdown of those four names.
Gallagher, I'm surprised, because I felt like Tuchel, even before the season started, was saying that Gallagher's going to have a key part in my squad for next season. Pre-season wasn't the best from him. Like, it was very inconsistent, but I didn't expect him to set the world alight anyway. And he's going to have a full season to show himself, but I don't expect him to go out on loan anywhere. Billy Gilmore didn't want a loan spell, but I could see him go to Everton because he knows Frank Lampard. Lampard's the one who gave him his big break, and he knows Lampard would know how to play him and get the best out of him. So I think that would be a good move for him and for Everton. Batshuayi, like, what you see is what you get with him. He's good with his first two touches. He's clutch every now and then, but tactically, he's absolutely atrocious. Like, his football IQ is absolutely in the bin. The last three managers that we had, including Frank Lampard, said there was issues with him in terms of understanding basic tactics. But if you guys want him, take him personally. Like, please. I've been trying to get rid of him for years. Who was the other one?
Armando Broja.
Broja.
Last year. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Broja wanted to leave for more game time, but it's another one that's very unlikely. Well, I say game time. He said it was game time. I think it's more wages because he's on 8K a week. But he's not going anywhere for the season. I'd be very surprised if we do it, because right now he's our only out-and-out striker. So I'd be very surprised if we let him go just yet. But if he joined you guys, like, I think it would actually be a very good move for you. Very good on the ball. Dribbling is unbelievable. Is able to beat defenders for fun. Finishing does still need a bit of a way to go in terms of reaching Premier League level standard, but his movement, his dribbling, his ability on the ball all speaks for itself, and is really good for his age.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if any of them develop, because it's been very hot and cold. We know that Broja's been linked with West Ham. Batshuayi's been linked with
Gilmore, every club under the sun.
Yeah, I can see Billy Gilmore happening. It seems like Frank Lampard's very keen on him, and alone.
I heard you guys turned away from Batshuayi and Barkley, though. Like, you had interest, but then you pulled away from it. And I don't blame you.
I'm absolutely livid.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think those two are going to happen, and I kind of hope they don't. I don't think they necessarily improve us in any way. But coming off the back of pre-season anyway, it's sometimes quite hard to predict maybe what managers are going to do in the first game of the season. But if you could give us maybe like a likely lineup for what you think might turn out at Goodison.
I think Mendy stays in goal. Back three would be Silva, Koulibaly, and probably Sarr or Chalobah, depending on what Tuchel wants to go for. If he wants to play with a left-footed centre-back, he'll go for Malang Sarr. If not, he'll go for Chalobah. Cucurella did get announced in time for the deadline, so he could start tomorrow, potentially, because I know there's questions about Chilwell and whether he's fully fit yet. So I'd go Cucurella on the left, Reece James on the right, Jorginho and Kante in midfield, Havertz, Sterling, and Mount up front, 3-4-3.
Yeah, that sounds like a fantastic team then. What is the situation with Azpilicueta? Will he not be starting? I know he's just signed a new 2-year contract.
Yeah, actually, it could be him. It could be him potentially. If we want to play with a right-footed centre-back, then I think we're going to go for Azpilicueta on the right, probably over Chalobah. That does make more sense. Did re-sign to a 2-year contract yesterday. He was meant to be going to Barcelona, but we're not too sure on the centre-back situation just yet. And to be honest, we still need leadership in the dressing room, and I think Azpilicueta is key for that right now. And you can still get a tune out of him for a full season. Like, he did have a very poor last season, but I think we over-relied on him way too much. Now, I think if we can get in Fofana, if we already having Koulibaly as an option as well, if Chalobah and Sarr step up, we don't have to use him as much throughout the season. That means we can use him sparingly and get the best out of him. But still a quality player, and to be honest, should be starting tomorrow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of from the Everton perspective anyway, kind of a bit of a prediction for the game. Is there anyone you see as a potential danger man for yourselves? We were just talking before, obviously we don't have a recognised striker going into the game, but now Richarlison's left. Yeah, no, now Richarlison's left. He was definitely a player people used to pick. Is there anyone maybe you're slightly concerned about coming up against?
From Everton? I mean, Dele Alli always likes a good game against us. Always loves a goal too. So I probably would say him. I know Anthony Gordon ended the season well for you guys too, so potentially him as well. But other than that, like, I'm not really too sure. Yerry Mina as well. He had a lot of fun against our attack last time, so I'll throw him up there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So just finally then, what's your score prediction for the game? What do you reckon might happen?
I'm going to go optimistic and say 2-0 Chelsea, but with knowing our form, it could easily be a draw or it could even be worse, but I'm just trying not to speak it into existence, so I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 Everton win. I can see us going ahead, you pull one back, and then Yerry Mina scored in the 90th minute to give us that home win to start off with.
God forbid.
Anyway, thank you very much, Lewis, for coming on. Thank you very much for watching. If our viewers want to find any more of you, where can they find you?
Yeah, guys, just Carefree Lewis G on YouTube, Chelsea Fan TV as well, and on all socials for both of the names too. And big up for having me on. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate having you on. So thank you very much for watching. Let's hope we can get the season off to a good start and hopefully pick up 3 points. But as I mentioned, thank you very much for watching and join us next time on the Toffee Blues. Goodbye.